Have you noticed this strange pattern? The world is silent. Your phone is untouched. No noise, no notifications. Yet your eyes open again, 3:17 am, 4:02 am, almost the same time. Every night, you turn sides, you check the clock, and a quiet question rises inside you: why now? This is not random, this is not just insomnia, and this is not meaningless. When your body is tired but your mind wakes up, it is not a sleep problem, it is an awareness moment in the silence of early morning. When the world stops distracting you, your inner voice finally has space to speak. Tonight, let me help you understand the message your soul may be sending. The first key point is this: the moment you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the noise of the world has already stepped aside. No emails, no traffic, no expectations knocking at your door, and that is not accidental. All day long, your mind is busy reacting. You are responding to people, deadlines, opinions, and pressure. Your inner voice barely gets a chance to finish a sentence before something interrupts it. But at this hour, distractions lose their power. Silence takes control. And silence is not empty. Silence is where the deepest conversations begin. When you wake up in that stillness, it is because something inside you finally has space to speak. Not loudly, not emotionally, but honestly. During the day, you are trained to perform. You smile when you are tired. You agree when you want to say no. You stay strong when you feel weak. That performance becomes a habit. Over time, you forget what your natural state feels like. But at night, performance drops. The mask loosens. The body relaxes. And suddenly, the inner world that was ignored all day steps forward. Thoughts you pushed aside start rising. Feelings you postponed start asking for attention. This is not your mind attacking you. This is your inner self asking to be acknowledged. The silence of early morning removes the filters you rely on during daylight hours. Most people think silence is uncomfortable. In reality, silence is unfamiliar. We are addicted to noise because noise keeps us distracted from ourselves. Music, podcasts, scrolling, conversations, they all serve one purpose: to avoid sitting alone with our own thoughts. But between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., that escape is gone. And when escape disappears, awareness appears. That awareness can feel heavy, not because it is bad, but because it is real. Truth often feels heavy when you have been avoiding it. The soul chooses silence because it knows that is the only place you will listen. At this hour, the mind is no longer competing with the outside world. It turns inward naturally. That is why questions about life, purpose, direction, and meaning feel stronger. You may suddenly think about whether you are living the life you imagined, whether your days reflect your values, whether the path you are on actually belongs to you. These questions do not show up randomly. They appear when the soul senses you are ready to hear them. Silence is not punishing you with thoughts. Silence is offering you clarity. Notice something important. When you wake up at this time, your thoughts are often clearer, not louder. They are not chaotic like daytime stress. They are slow, direct, and specific. A single concern repeats. A single feeling lingers. That is the difference between anxiety and awareness. Anxiety is noisy. Awareness is quiet but persistent. The soul does not overwhelm you with 10 messages. It repeats one message until it is acknowledged. And silence makes repetition impossible to ignore. Many people misinterpret this waking as weakness. They think something is wrong with them. In truth, this sensitivity is strength. It means you are still connected to your inner signals. Some people sleep deeply through misalignment because they are numb. They have disconnected from their inner guidance. Waking up at this hour means your inner compass is active. It means you have not lost touch with yourself, even if you have been ignoring yourself. The discomfort is not a flaw, it is feedback. The real challenge is not waking up. The real challenge is what you do after you wake up. If you immediately distract yourself, the message gets delayed. If you panic, the message gets distorted. But if you sit with the silence even for a moment, you begin to understand what is being asked of you. The soul does not demand dramatic changes overnight. It asks for awareness first, awareness of what feels heavy, awareness of what feels false, awareness of what feels unfinished. Silence is the classroom. Waking up is the invitation. When the outer world goes quiet, the inner world finally gets its turn. And if you keep waking up at this hour, it is because your inner world has been waiting patiently for that turn. It has been watching you rush through days without checking in. It has been carrying questions you never asked yourself. This waking is not a problem to fix. It is a conversation to enter. Silence is not the absence of sound. Silence is the presence of truth. The second key point is this. The hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are when emotional defense is naturally lower. During the day, you are protected by roles. Professional, strong, responsible, composed. These roles help you function, but they also hide the truth. At night, those layers loosen without permission. You are no longer performing for anyone. There is no audience to impress. And that is why emotions you managed all day suddenly surface. This is not emotional weakness. This is emotional honesty finally having space to breathe. In daylight, your mind is trained to prioritize logic over feeling. You tell yourself to move on, to stay busy, to be practical. You postpone emotional processing because it feels inconvenient. Feelings require time, and time feels expensive during the day. But emotions do not disappear when ignored. They wait, they gather. And when the mind rests at night, they rise quietly, one by one. That quiet rise is what wakes you up. Not fear, not stress. Unprocessed truth. At this hour, your heart is more awake than your ego. The ego cares about image, control, and outcomes. The heart cares about alignment, integrity, and meaning. During the day, the ego dominates. At night, it gets tired. And when the ego rests, the heart speaks without filters. That is why you may feel vulnerable, reflective, or exposed at this time. Vulnerability is not danger. Vulnerability is clarity without armor. Notice how the emotions that appear this hour are rarely dramatic. They are subtle. A sense of dissatisfaction, a quiet sadness, a lingering regret, a soft longing. These are not breakdown emotions. These are truth emotions. They are not trying to overwhelm you. They are trying to inform you. The soul communicates in subtle signals because it respects your capacity. It gives you exactly what you can handle, no more, no less. Many people misunderstand emotional honesty as negativity. They think feeling uncomfortable means something is wrong. In reality, emotional discomfort is often a sign of growth being delayed. When your life expands internally faster than it expands externally, tension forms. That tension shows up at night. Your inner self has outgrown certain patterns, but your outer life has not caught up yet. Waking up at this hour is the emotional system signaling that mismatch. At this time, the mind is less interested in solutions and more interested in acknowledgement. You may replay conversations not to analyze them, but to feel what you didn't allow yourself to feel in the moment. You may think about choices not to judge them, but to recognize their emotional cost. This is not rumination. This is emotional accounting. The soul is reviewing what has been paid and what is still owed within you. If you listen closely, the emotions that surface at this hour are asking for permission, not action. Permission to be felt without being fixed. Permission to exist without being dismissed. Most people rush to escape discomfort, but growth requires presence. Emotional honesty does not demand immediate change. It demands recognition. Once emotions are acknowledged, they soften. When they are suppressed, they sharpen. This waking is a reminder that strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is the ability to sit with truth without running. Emotional honesty at this hour is not meant to destabilize you. It is meant to realign you. The heart speaks when it feels safe, and silence creates that safety. These early hours are not exposing your weakness. They are revealing your sincerity with yourself. The third key point is this. Many people wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. not because they are restless, but because they are overloaded. Not physically, emotionally, and mentally. During the day, you carry invisible weight, expectations that were never spoken, responsibilities you never agreed to but accepted anyway, emotional labor that goes unnoticed. You keep telling yourself, I can handle it and maybe you can. But just because you can carry something doesn't mean it belongs to you. At night, when the body finally relaxes, that borrowed weight becomes obvious, and it pulls you awake. Throughout your life, you were taught to be reliable, to be the one who adjusts, the one who understands, the one who doesn't complain. Slowly, that turned into a habit of carrying what others drop. Their stress becomes your concern. Their disappointment becomes your burden. Their urgency becomes your pressure. During the day, adrenaline helps you manage it. At night, adrenaline leaves. And when it leaves, honesty arrives. The body refuses to stay asleep under a load it was never designed to carry. There is a deep difference between responsibility and ownership. Responsibility can be shared, ownership cannot. Many people unknowingly take ownership of other people's emotions, outcomes, and choices. You worry about how they feel. You overthink how they might react. You replay conversations to make sure no one was upset. This constant emotional monitoring drains energy, and when your system finally powers down at night, it flags the overload. Waking up is not a malfunction. It is a warning light. Pay attention to what feels heavy when you wake up at this hour. It is rarely your own needs that feel heavy. It is usually someone else's expectations sitting on your chest, someone else's timeline running in your head, someone else's version of who you should be. The soul reacts strongly to misplacement. When you live too far away from yourself for too long, sleep becomes shallow. Not because you are anxious, but because you are misaligned. Most people assume peace comes from doing more, from fixing everything, from being more helpful, more available, more dependable. But peace comes from boundaries. And boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They decide what enters your inner space and what does not. When you lack boundaries, everything enters. And at night, your inner system begins sorting through the overload, asking a simple question, why am I carrying this? That question is powerful enough to wake you up. There is also a subtle form of weight that many people overlook, the weight of unexpressed truth. When you repeatedly silence your own needs to keep others comfortable, that silence accumulates pressure. You may not argue, you may not resist, you may even convince yourself you are fine. But the body keeps score, the soul keeps records, and during these early hours, it brings the balance sheet forward. Not to shame you, but to show you the cost of self-abandonment. This waking is not asking you to become selfish, it is asking you to become honest. Honest about what drains you, honest about what you tolerate, honest about what you keep carrying out of habit, not choice. There is a difference between being kind and being depleted. Kindness that empties you eventually turns into resentment. And the soul does not want you to live resentfully, it wants you to live truthfully. If you ignore this signal, the waking continues, not as punishment but as persistence. The soul repeats messages when they are not acknowledged. It knows you listen better in stillness. When the world is asleep, you cannot blame noise, schedules, or distractions. You are left with one thing only, what you are carrying. And once you start releasing what is not yours, sleep does not have to fight to return. The fourth key point is this. Waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is often not a sign that you lack motivation, but that you lack direction. Motivation is energy. Direction is alignment. Energy can push you forward for a while, but alignment determines whether you feel at peace while moving. Many people stay busy all day, yet feel unsettled at night. They work hard, stay productive, and still wake up with a quiet sense of restlessness. That restlessness is not laziness. It is the inner compass signaling confusion about where your life is actually going. During the day, movement feels like progress. You wake up, you act, you complete tasks, you respond to demands. Motion gives the illusion of purpose, but motion without direction creates exhaustion. The body can move endlessly, but the soul needs At night, when action pauses, the soul checks alignment, and if it senses that effort is being spent in the wrong direction, it interrupts sleep. Not to disturb you, but to ask for clarity. Motivation thrives on external triggers, deadlines, praise, pressure, fear of falling behind. These forces work during daylight hours. They keep you engaged, alert, and productive. But they fade at night. When they fade, only internal truth remains. And internal truth does not care how busy you are. It cares whether your actions match your values. If they don't, motivation collapses into restlessness. That restlessness becomes the reason you wake up. Many people confuse being tired with being unclear. They think they need rest, when what they actually need is direction. You can sleep 8 hours and still feel drained if your daily actions are disconnected from your inner priorities. The soul does not recharge on sleep alone. It recharges on meaning. Without meaning, rest becomes shallow. You wake up not because you slept too little, but because something inside you is unconvinced by the path you are on. At this hour, the mind naturally asks bigger questions, not about tasks, but about trajectory. Not what do I need to do tomorrow, but why am I doing this at all? These questions don't appear during busy hours because they slow you down. But at night, slowing down is inevitable, and when it happens, direction becomes impossible to ignore. If your life lacks a clear internal yes, the body resists full rest. There is also a subtle discomfort that comes from borrowed direction. Many people follow paths they inherited, not chose. Career expectations, social timelines, definitions of success that were never questioned. During the day, those borrowed directions feel normal because everyone around you is moving the same way. At night, comparison disappears. And when comparison disappears, authenticity appears. The soul asks, is this truly mine? That question alone can wake you up. Direction is not about having all the answers. It is about having an inner anchor, a sense of why you wake up, why you push, why you endure. Without that anchor, even success feels hollow. You may be moving forward externally while feeling stuck internally. That internal stuckness does not show up in meetings or conversations. It shows up in the early hours, when the body wants rest but the soul wants truth. This waking is not demanding a dramatic life overhaul. It is asking for alignment step by step. Alignment begins with honesty. Honesty about what excites you. Honesty about what drains you. Honesty about whether your current direction reflects your values or just your fears. When direction becomes clear, motivation becomes unnecessary. You don't need to push yourself toward what truly fits you. Your system naturally settles. And when it settles, sleep follows. The fifth key point is this: waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. often happens when you are avoiding a decision that has already been made inside you. Not consciously, but quietly. Deep within, the answer exists. You know what needs to change. You know what needs to end, begin, or shift. But during the day, you negotiate with yourself. You delay, you distract. You tell yourself it's not the right time. At night, negotiation ends. The mind may rest, but the truth does not sleep. And when truth waits too long, it wakes you up. There is a specific kind of mental tension that comes from indecision. It is not loud like anxiety. It is subtle, steady, and persistent. It feels like something unfinished hovering in the background of your life. During the day, activity keeps that feeling at bay. You stay busy, you stay productive, you stay occupied. But when everything slows down, that unfinished decision steps forward. It doesn't demand attention aggressively. It simply refuses to be ignored any longer. Most people believe they are undecided because they lack information. In reality, they are undecided because they fear the consequences of choosing. Choosing means loss. Choosing means discomfort. Choosing means responsibility. So the mind delays action under the excuse of thinking it through. But the soul does not operate on excuses. It operates on alignment. When your inner world has already chosen, but your outer world keeps delaying. Friction forms. That friction interrupts rest. Notice how the same thoughts visit you at this hour. Not new ideas, not random worries. The same decision, replayed from different angles. A relationship you know is misaligned. A path you know no longer fits. A truth you know you must speak. This repetition is not overthinking, it is inner confirmation. The soul repeats what matters until courage catches up with clarity. Avoided decisions do not stay neutral. They slowly drain energy. Every day you live against your own knowing, a small amount of vitality leaks away. You may not notice it immediately, but your system does. By night, when energy is low and honesty is high, the cost becomes visible. Sleep requires surrender. And you cannot only surrender while holding on to unresolved choices. The body stays alert, waiting for alignment. There is also fear hidden beneath indecision. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of making the wrong move. Fear of losing security. Fear of stepping into the unknown. During the day, fear hides behind logic. At night, logic loosens its grip. Fear stands exposed. And once fear is exposed, it asks to be addressed, not avoided. The waking is not about the decision itself, it is about the courage you are postponing. Many people wait for certainty before acting, but certainty is not the beginning of action. Action is the beginning of certainty. The soul understands this. That is why it grows restless when you wait too long. It knows that clarity deepens through movement, not delay. Each night you postpone a known decision, the soul sends a reminder. Not harsh, not dramatic, just persistent enough to keep you awake. This waking is not pressuring you to rush. It is pressuring you to be honest. Honest about what you already know, honest about what you are avoiding, honest about the life you are quietly choosing by not choosing at all. Avoidance is a choice, even when it feels passive. And the soul does not accept passivity when alignment is at stake. It keeps calling you back to your own knowing, again and again, until the message is received. The sixth key point is this: waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is often a call to reconnect, not to escape. Most people reach for distractions when they wake in the early hours. Phones, social media, streaming videos, anything to push the quiet away. But these distractions are temporary. They hide the very reason you woke up in the first place. The soul does not interrupt sleep to be entertained. It interrupts sleep to be acknowledged. This is a moment designed for presence, for honesty, for reconnection with yourself. During the day, life moves as fast. Tasks, responsibilities, and external demands dominate your attention. You rarely sit still long enough to notice how you truly feel or what your inner world is trying to communicate. Noise keeps you distracted, and distraction keeps you comfortable. But at 3 a.m., all that external noise disappears. You are left alone with your thoughts and, more importantly, your emotions. Reconnection begins when you stop trying to run from what is waiting for you inside. Most people misunderstand reconnection. They think it requires meditation, journaling, or some structured practice. In reality, it can begin with a single honest question: what is this moment asking of me? When you ask that question sincerely, without judgment, answers emerge naturally. They are not instructions for instant change. They are gentle nudges toward awareness, clarity, and understanding. That awareness is what your soul has been waiting for all day. When you wake up in this window, your mind is quieter, your heart is more open, and your inner filter is down. That combination allows clarity that daylight rarely offers. Patterns in your life that felt confusing or overwhelming suddenly become visible. Choices you were unsure about become clearer. Emotions you didn't want to face come forward. The early morning is a laboratory of self-discovery. Every waking moment can be used to experiment with honesty, reflection, and understanding. Many people resist reconnection because it can feel uncomfortable. Facing yourself is easier when there is noise, distraction, or someone else to focus on. But the soul does not work through comfort. It works through presence. When you face yourself without escape, you uncover truths about your desires, fears, habits, and dreams. You see the ways you have compromised and the ways you have ignored your inner voice. That seeing is the first step toward realignment. There is a subtle magic in simply being present with yourself at this hour. Not judging, not analyzing, not planning, just noticing. The body is rested enough to support reflection, but the mind is alert enough to understand. You can feel tension, relief, regret, longing, or gratitude, all without needing to act. The soul communicates in subtle signals, and subtle signals require your quiet attention to be understood. Each minute spent in presence strengthens that connection. Reconnection also reminds you that you are not alone even when you feel isolated. The quiet can feel lonely, but it is also filled with subtle guidance, intuition, and insight. Your inner self-sepi eeks in whispers, not shouts, and it chooses the early hours for maximum clarity. Every waking moment at this time is an opportunity to listen, to feel, and to respond authentically. Distraction might provide temporary relief, but reconnection provides lasting alignment. It is the reason these hours exist and the reason you are awake. The seventh key point is this: when you keep waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is because your soul is trying to deliver a message that will not be ignored. Many people assume sleep interruptions are random, a result of stress, diet, or lifestyle. But the persistence of these awakenings tells a different story. It is not the body alone that is restless. It is the soul that is restless. It is sending a signal that something in your life requires attention, something deeper than schedules, obligations, or to-do lists. It is a signal that alignment has been delayed, and the body cannot fully rest until the message is acknowledged. The soul is patient but not indefinite. It waits through days of distraction and weeks of postponement. It waits as you push aside uncomfortable thoughts and ignore subtle nudges. But when the inner calling is strong enough, it becomes impossible to sleep through. The early morning is a sacred time when external pressures are minimal and internal clarity has a stage to present itself. Waking at this hour is the soul's way of creating space for its voice to be heard, without the noise of daily life competing for attention. One reason this message is repeated nightly is that unresolved inner truths do not resolve themselves. Unlike tasks on a checklist, the soul's messages are persistent and non-negotiable. You might try to distract yourself, scroll your phone, or even blame insomnia, but the internal signal remains. It grows more insistent with each night of avoidance. This is not punishment, it is guidance. The soul does not threaten, it nudges. But it nudges consistently because the urgency of living authentically cannot wait forever. The early hours also reveal the consequences of ignoring alignment. When you postpone listening, life creates unrest in other ways: physical tension, emotional strain, and mental fatigue. Sleep becomes shallow, dreams restless, and the body wakes repeatedly. The soul is demonstrating that ignoring inner guidance comes at a cost. It shows up as restlessness, so you can recognize that something vital is being overlooked. This is its method of insisting you pay attention, not through drama but through consistency. Many people think the answer to repeated awakenings is external, a new sleep schedule, supplements, or environment changes. While those adjustments may help temporarily, they never address the underlying cause. The reason sleep remains interrupted is internal, not external. Until the inner misalignment is acknowledged, no external fix can fully resolve the pattern. The soul's message is subtle yet powerful. You cannot run from yourself and expect to rest. Alignment must precede peace. The signal is also a test of awareness and courage. The soul provides nudges that are gentle but persistent, allowing you to respond willingly rather than react out of fear. Each night you wake, you have a choice: to distract yourself or to listen. Choosing to listen requires courage because the truth may be uncomfortable. It may demand honesty about relationships, habits, or choices. But that honesty is the prerequisite for genuine rest and fulfillment. Avoidance keeps you awake, presence grants peace. Over time, the repetition of these awakenings builds a pattern of inner awakening that parallels physical awakening. The soul does not want to force change abruptly. It wants to cultivate readiness. Each instance of waking is an invitation to recognize what you have ignored, to feel what you have suppressed, and to respond authentically. The persistence of this message teaches patience, attentiveness, and self-trust. When you finally listen, you realize that sleep returns naturally, not because the body is forced, but because the soul is satisfied that its call has been honored. And now, as you sit with this understanding, here is the truth you must carry forward. Waking up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is not a problem. It is a gift. It is a call from your own soul, a quiet reminder that your life deserves attention, honesty, and alignment. Every restless night, every subtle nudge, is an invitation to reconnect with yourself, to release what does not belong to you, to face the decisions you've been avoiding, and to step into the life that is truly yours. The choice is always yours. You can keep rushing through days, distracted, ignoring the inner voice, or you can pause, listen, and act with courage. Every moment you honor this call, every time you allow truth to guide you, you reclaim your energy, your clarity, and your peace. Sleep will follow naturally, but more importantly, life will follow the way it was meant to, fully aligned, deeply meaningful, and courageously authentic. Your soul is waking you up for a reason. Answer that call, step into your truth, and in doing so, transform not just your nights, but every single day that follows.